Hey guys, and welcome back to another tape reading session here on the S&P 500 futures contract. I'm going to be tape reading the New York session, the price action of the 11th of August. I haven't been trading the session live because I decided to enjoy the sunny weather outside at the lake. And yeah, it was a good decision. I don't know what happened or what I missed, but I already secured all my profits that I was aiming for this Friday during the London kill zone. So I really did not feel the need to continue to trade. Alright, so what do we see? What happened right after 5 a.m.? We pulled back to reject off that new day opening gap and the midnight level to eventually deliver into this sell side liquidity where we fell short of it, I think, with a couple of ticks, pulled back, and eventually we delivered inside of it. And yeah, then we rejected again. And really what happened here is that we just cleared a set of equal highs. Right here, right at the new day opening gap, we had a set of equal highs. We tap it, we pull back inside of this inversion and also this inversion fair value gap. We come back inside of it and we clear those equal highs and we immediately reject. So really, if we zoom in here, what happened is that as soon as we closed with this candle below this bullish fair value gap, it became an inversion fair value gap. So from right here, we would only like to see resistance from this inversion and pretty much no support until all the sell side is met. This is the discount. Why am I pointing out this one? Because we used this one right here at 2:05 a.m. in the morning during the London kill zone to eventually deliver into the buy side. So I put more weight on this little fair value gap. Alright, so we use it to deliver lower. This is where I caught my 5-handed move. And then we reject, pull back towards the midnight. But as we can see, we kept on holding this inversion. We never closed above it. We closed right at the high, yes, but we never closed above it. And we used that one again to eventually deliver into sell side. We pull back, leave equal highs, retest this inversion paired with this also inverted fair value gap to eventually clear that buy side, pretty much turtle soup it with just a tick above it, then we immediately reject. So prior to 8 a.m., which is really right here, I would be looking at this fair value gap to see if we closed below it already, and we actually did. Alright, so we have this inversion, which kept on holding us the entire morning. We have this bearish fair value gap that's paired with the new day opening gap from right over here. That's a new day opening gap from Thursday over to Friday, paired with this inversion fair value gap. So we can see there's plenty of resistance going into that. Not just a new day opening gap, we also have that New York midnight level sitting at this level. Alright, since we closed below this bullish fair value gap, I would not expect that we are going to visit or see higher prices. We pretty much just turtle soup that. And from here on, really, I would expect to see lower prices heading into 8:30, where we also had news. So I wouldn't be too quick to enter into a position. We could also draw up all these little fair value gaps and see how they are holding. Only these two small ones. Those are the most recent bullish fair value gaps. And we could also look at this inversion, but it's just too big, so I'm gonna leave it with those. So right now, all my focus is pretty much on this inversion fair value gap. We closed below it, so now we want to see resistance. We got back into it, rejected off that midnight level, and now we are back to closing below it. So really what we could do is just set a limit order right on the inversion. We use a stop loss, one tick above the high of this candle, and we would obviously target sell side. So let's see. Just because I can't set limits, but as you can see, this candle's wick before I entered, wicked inside of the inversion. That's what I wanted to see. So let's see, the time is 8:15. We have 15 minutes left until news. We keep holding that fair value gap. Let's see. We keep on holding it. It's 8:25. It's news. I would very likely close the trade. And we touch that New York midnight level perfectly to the tick like I said, stop loss 1 tick above this high. Even if you use a safety measurement, 5 handle stop loss, you would have been fine. And in the worst case scenario, all you would have lost is 5 handles to a potential, target right here, which would be the sell side. And if you're on our Discord server, earlier this morning, prior to the London kill zone, I shared my higher time frame drawn liquidity and which my targets basically, which were the daily buy side at 4473.5, and both these sell side targets have been met with 830. So at this point I wouldn't really expect much from the AM session, but we will see about that. Let's flatten that position. The overall idea, I hope, is obvious here. We frame everything after buy side has been cleared. We're rejecting of a bearish fair value gap or inversion. We've been respecting this inversion that kept delivering us into this buy side during early London kill zone, and eventually use that to deliver into orders sell side. Alright, let's see. We closed below this daily sell side liquidity draw. Right now, all I would expect is a pullback. We stay aware of the time. But other than that, let's just wait. Let's also make a line for the 830 open right here. That is the 830 open. There we go. Alright, from here on we just see, so ideally we would like to see this fair value gap now to hold, to eventually deliver lower. But since we already hit my daily drawn liquidity, which would have been this low, I wouldn't be too keen on shorts, but we will see. I mean, we just pretty much nailed the direction of the PPI news movement. So we wicked inside of it. Let's see. We would target the sell side, 6.75 handles, risk 6.5. Not the best risk to reward, but they do play out. If we would look for a potential sell side target, let's see if we do have anything to the left. I think I would have to go onto a daily or 4-hour time frame to gather more sell side targets, but if we go for a simple 10-handed move, that's where it would take us. And why would we consider taking this short? We leave behind a bearish fair value gap, and until we close above this bearish fair value gap, we are bearish. Once we close above this bearish discount that we have left behind, we are bearish. We don't even consider a possible reversal. And if you keep doing that, you're always in line with that trend. Let's see. 10 handles hit right at the low of this fair value gap. So if we continue, this would have been a very nice entry. If you missed that initial, if you would, let's say you would have waited for the news to hit the market, you would have seen this beautiful 5-minute bearish fair value gap. You simply place your sell limit here, your stop loss 5 handles or even 6 handles, target 10, and happy days. You don't need much more really. So from here on we continue. Let's see, so far we had quite a few very beautiful trades on here so far this early AM session. What's the time here? It's 9 AM, so we have a new hourly open. We're inside this bearish fair value gap, so let's see if we can't flip it. We close above it, so now it's an inversion fair value gap, and we would like to see support from that. Note that we also left behind a new bullish fair value gap. I'm not sure if we hit any other major sell side other than this daily drawn liquidity that I marked up, but let's just see. Alright, so we keep holding support of that newly formed inversion. Let's continue with this bullish fair value gap. We also seem to be holding support. It's 9:15. Be aware that New York Open is happening at 9:30. Alright, so we deliver lower ones. Not as beautiful of a delivery, at least on a 5-minute time frame, but still acceptable. We just do not place any entries prior to the market open. We cleared a short-term low one more time right here. Quickly cleared that short-term low. And at 9:30, we simply continue further into sell side. Like I said, I would have to go onto the higher time frame now. I do not want to do that, so I just stick to what I see on the 5, not knowing if we hit any major sell side other than this daily low. Alright, so note how we open up at 9:30, leaving behind this nice wick, and that following candle closing above the lowest discount that we have left behind. But the candle immediately followed by the candle that closed above the fair value gap, making it a inversion fair value gap, closed back below it. So usually, let's say, especially once your major drawn liquidity has already been hit, it was pretty much the prime time for the early AM session starting at 8 AM or even the London kill zone. But yeah, let's say for New York right now, we're already below that sell side. We could see some AM session consolidation and some PM session run. So that's why I would simply be careful to see what we get after 9:30. Maybe I would consider taking a trade after 10 AM. Let's see, so we consolidate. We do not have many fair value gaps to work with. Maybe on a 1 minute time frame, but we will see. We seem to consolidate. Right now it's 9:55, so a new hourly opening eventually delivers that push into buy side. What do we have here right now? We have a valid market structure shift, a bullish one. We can use the highest stop closing candle as our breaker block. We have this inversion, but it hasn't really been respected throughout the early AM session. Right here from 9:30, we just filled this fair value gap in completely. So I would just like to see if we can get a long of the potential breaker block, use a bigger stop loss. But as we can see, we do not have any fair value gaps lower than this old inversion, which hasn't been respected really, so I wouldn't put too much weight on it. For potential targets, we could target the new day opening gap, we could target the 8:30 open, or just the midnight level. I would be content with 10 handles, so let's see. Unfortunately, I can't place a limit order here, but that's what I would do. Our limit order would have been tapped in right here. Let's see. Okay, so certainly we would have gotten filled here. And note what we just created here, a bullish fair value gap paired with that breaker block. You get the idea. And by now we would already be up and running 6 handles. We target 10, let's see. And we already hit our 10 handle target. We close above the 8:30 open. We also got above that New York midnight level. So that next buy side target we have on the table really would be this high. So let's see if that is being hit as well. Yes, and we seem to be smashing just right through it. And see, we consolidated after the 9:30 open. We waited. We did not get an opportunity because after 9:30, we just consolidated. Now, right here at 10 AM, in my opinion, the market has made the decision in which direction it wants to run. Right here, we had a bullish market structure shift. We have a bullish breaker block. We have a fair value gap that has been left behind. We cleared a short-term low. This is pretty much the perfect YouTube model. You couldn't ask for more during a AM session after 10. This would be the classic silver bullet 2022 mentorship setup. And yeah, let's see. We could have also went for 20 handles to target the buy side above us. Let's see. From here, really, be realistic. I would have closed my entire position by that time. Let's see what we are working with and make sense of all these fair value gaps. So we pretty much just cut right through these. We haven't retested any of them. But once we close above it, we would expect support from here. We could expect support of this old inversion as well, but I'm gonna get rid of it. Otherwise, it's just gonna get too messy. I want to focus on the fair value gaps that we created after 9:30 and see what we can do just by working with those. Alright. We have a few bearish fair value gaps up here, but we closed above 2 of them. The third one, the highest one, kept offering resistance before delivering into this potential buy side. So really what I'm looking for is that this potential discount that we have left behind, bullish fair value gap, if this can't offer support to deliver us higher. And if we close below it, I would already exit that position. And what do? We use exactly that as support. We're now back above the end dog. Let's see if we can't deliver into the buy side. I did not want to do that. Come on, stop it. Well, and there we go. Unfortunately, I pressed the wrong button down here. My mic's in the way, so I didn't see that. But really what we just did is touch that buy side. So we would have certainly taken a partial here from this fair value gap. Let's say the 830 open. That's already almost 10 handles. So I would have secured by that time anyway, at least a partial. And then we reversed, had a market structure shift, left behind a new bearish fair value gap inside with this inversion fair value gap, a old bullish fair value gap that kept offering support to deliver us into buy side. Now we close below it, it becomes an inversion fair value gap paired with another new bearish fair value gap right here. We tap into it and we deliver lower to clear this short-term low. And right now, where are we at? We're back inside our breaker block paired with this bullish fair value gap. And as we can see, we kept accumulating or consolidating inside this area. So all this was really just a pullback for a quick run on stops really of everyone who got the initial 930 direction correct. And from here on, I'd expect these equal highs buy side to be run very aggressively without giving potential shorts a chance to get out of their trade. So let's see, we have those equal highs above here. We're going to label that as buy side. There we go. A close above this inversion that kept offering resistance would be pretty telling for me. Alright, we got rejected. Let's see. Our lowest discount, or our most recent discount, would be this bullish fair value gap. Cannot offer support. So now we're back inside of it. We touch the breaker block. I like the wick right here. Let's just try one contract. Note that we have a bearish fair value gap right here. So I would like to see price moving through that bearish fair value gap very quickly. And pretty much not do that. But I would wait for a close below this candle's low. Or pretty much below the fair value gap. And that's what we got. We closed below it. So now I'm not really that keen on that buy side anymore. But we're still inside that breaker block. So let's just see. We're still consolidating inside of it. That's really surprising. What's the time by now? It's already 12:50. So I actually would have stopped trading after. Let me turn on the kill zone indicator. After 11 a.m. really. Maybe I would have traded that last macro, which would have started at 10:50 until 11:10, and see what we did here during that 10:50 to 11:10 macro. We shifted market structure right here, like I said. Unfortunately, I couldn't tape read that because I pressed the skip ahead button. Market structure shift bearish. We left behind a bearish fair value gap paired with a inversion fair value gap. We use that to deliver lower to clear this short-term low right here. And even just this run during that macro would have netted you 10 handles. Very, very easy. Same for this one. We cleared a short-term low. Bullish market structure shift. At 10 a.m. we leave behind a 10 a.m. 5-minute time frame bullish fair value gap paired with a breaker block. We tap into it. We get above. I mean, come on, really, it can't get much easier. 15 handles, even if you just cut 5 handles out of this move to the upside, you should be fine with today. So everything prior to 10 a.m. would have just been rubbish. Everyone trying to scalp something after 1 minute would have pretty much been, yeah, faked out very likely on the 1 minute. And by 10 a.m. we eventually got that correct direction with that market structure shift for a easy 5 or 10 handle trade. And from there on, right during that 10:50 to 11:10 macro, we delivered inside of this bearish fair value gap paired with the inversion to deliver to clear the short-term low. From here on, we pretty much just kept on bouncing. I do not want to continue to tape read the entire PM session, but as we can see, we are still holding that breaker block right here. We closed below it one time, but we immediately got back inside of it. And the good thing about this breaker block is that we have a bullish fair value gap at the same level. So we have overlapping confluence right here. Breaker block, bullish fair value gap. Let's get rid of that one. We have this inversion, but I wouldn't be looking at that one too much. Also this one. Those are the real major two fair value gaps I would be looking at. And now for the first time, not what happened right here. We didn't just close back above the... Come on, what's happening now? Hang on. We didn't just close back above the 830 right here. And also the New York Midnight. We closed above this bearish fair value gap, making it now a inversion fair value gap right here at 235. We come back, retest the newly formed inversion fair value gap, and we deliver higher. We closed back above that New York Midnight level, and right now we seem to be struggling a little bit around that new day opening gap. But eventually, I mean, remember where this trade is originating from. The breaker block paired with the bullish fair value gap after we formed this little YouTube model here. We cleared the short-term low, shifted market structure, displaced, leaving behind a fair value gap, continuation to buy side. Eventually we pull back, accumulate, and accumulate even more inside of this breaker block fair value gap mix to eventually deliver back above bearish discounts we have left behind, bearish fair value gaps, to eventually, I'd say, during the power hour, from 3 until 4 p.m. New York local time, we will very likely see this buy side to be run. That's what I would expect. Alright guys, thanks very much for joining into this tape reading session. I hope you have learned something, and I certainly did. I really enjoyed tape reading this New York session. It was a rather good one. We caught a few good moves. And yep, it just does make sense looking at it. And this is really an exercise everyone is able to do by simply using that replay feature on TradingView. Alright guys, thanks very much for watching this little recap. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and take care.